Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2025 Pan American Mixed Endurance Series sponsored by S Hotel. Here I have GT3s and hypercar sharing the field 6 intense rounds. And that is Jaden Harrison sizing up and moving now and moves to the inside, and there's contact. And we're off to a cool start. Omar Escorcio sitting in the slipstream, and it will be a drag race now down to Sunset Bend by turn 13. On the inside is that Cadillac, and this is the final lap. Ian Lance moves on the inside, and Perez moves on the outside and tries to make his move.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another wonderful round brought to you by the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association. We are, of course, doing our 4th round here in this 6-round championship. We're headed to none other than Interlagos for round 4. The server is officially open, and we're waiting for the qualifying session to get underway, folks. But we have a hot and heavy championship coming at you here and fast. The competition is looking stiff this season, and the drivers are looking even fiercer on the racetrack. Practice is coming to a close as we speak, and we're just getting ready to go in a few moments. I'm your host, Sagar Bakshi, aka The Real High, and of course, we're in for a great event so far. Let's talk about the standings as they sit currently. It's Sakir Eaton at the top of the charts after round 3 with 42 points, tied with Michael Charles for 42 points. Omar Escorcia in 3rd position with 41 points. Javier Brando in 4th. Camilo Andres Mora in 5th. Raven Plummer in 6th. Ian Lance in 7th. Bruce Pina in 8th. Andres Cuzevido in 9th, Daniel Garcia in 10th, Daniel Velez in 11th, Miguel Beltran in 12th, and D. Cisneros in 13th. Now, it looks like the GT3s are just getting rolling, and of course, we'll talk about their run of things in just a few moments' time. Let's get trackside, folks, and see what the drivers are all up to before we get too far into things. Got a stacked grid of drivers, 24 GT3s toting around the track. Good luck to everyone indeed. Thank you very much for being here. John Singleton, Piedad Lopera, and Ronaldo de Jesus Velis Ruiz. Let's talk about the standings very quickly as we get drivers toting around for their outlaps. Couple of drivers sitting in pit lane right now, waiting potentially for a clear bit of air to get their track running under their belts. Of course, we're coming back off of a hurricane, so unfortunately we have a few people that have not been able to show up, but majority of drivers are back in action, looking forward at Interlagos, the Autodromo de Jose Carlos Pace, named after the Brazilian F1 driver who won his only Grand Prix at Interlagos in 75, but tragically died in a plane crash in 77. What's going on, high grade? Thank you very much from AC Karting. Our team is looking forward to getting back on track with us soon, and we look forward to seeing you back on track with us in the near future. Right now, we're looking at Jaden Harrison out in P1 currently, but he's just getting that out lap or installation lap done as he comes straight back down pit road. And we'll have to view another driver who is on a flyer. This will be Roger Keller, the number 31 BMW driver. Let's talk about those standings before we get any further distracted. Up at the top end of the charts, it'll be Cesar Barahona with 43 points to his name. Taking first place last week or 2 weeks ago at Sebring. Second place for round one, K Moss with 42 points with 2 wins during round 1 and round 2, and a 9th place for round 3 at Sebring. Mission Wallace with 37 points. Casey Jackman with 34 points in 4th. Rohi Robinson will be driving the Mercedes AMG with 25 points in 5th. Rohan Harris in 6th position with 21 points. Nathan Bryan in 7th. Kaimani Eastman in 8th. Vicente de Silva in 9th, taking a DNS and a Lamborghini Huracan for round 3. Ricardo Suavi in 10th place, Ramiro Dominguez in 11th, Julian Arce in 12th, Shannon Doughton in 13th, Matt Titus in 14th, Jaden Harrison in 15th, Rich Dyer in 16th, Joel Santa Maria in 17th, Sebastian Rodriguez in 18th, Phil Brown in 19th, Dante Chiare in 20th, DeVille Park in 21st, Declan Daniel in 22nd, Juan R. Velasco in 23rd, Roger Keller in 24th, and AJ Martin in 25th. Greetings, everybody in the YouTube chat, whether you're watching live now or in the future. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for all of your love and support here from the bottom of my heart here at the JSRA broadcast booth. Looking forward to this short and quick event that'll be taking part in just a few moments' time. It looks like it's going to be hot and heavy here on the Brazilian asphalt this evening, but the drivers are well equipped and able to deal with the conditions. And just as I say that, Roger Keller tiptoes his way around and pirouettes his car into the wall, throws out the yellow flag for sector 3, it looks like, and the number 31 worse for wear will probably have to teleport to pits, and he ends up doing just that. Vicente de Silva has his own little moment in pirouetting through sector 3. The number 15 Gulf livery Lamborghini looking like it's having a bit of a moment out on the racetrack. Casey Jackman tops the charts with a 136.343 currently in front of Vicente de Silva. And the Aston Martin looking pretty nippy right now, coming around the final pair of corners currently, running in P number 1.
Testing 1 2.
And we have our own fearless leader joining us in the broadcast booth tonight. This is going to be none other than Steven Stewart, who's going to be joining me in the broadcast booth. How are you doing, Stewart?
I am enjoying the stream as we go along. Just saw, who is that you're watching? Who found the wall not too long ago? Is that Roger Kello? But yeah, I'm doing well, man. We're dry here in Jamaica. Had some unfortunate flooding, especially over in the west. But grateful that us over here in the east have been dry for the most part. Do have a little bit of internet issues. Some still without light. Mission Wallace being one of them. Matty Titus as well. But yeah, still looking forward to what we'll have this evening, man. How are you?
I am living the dream. Nowhere else I'd rather be than watching some good mixed class racing going on, and I feel like we're in for an absolute banger of an evening, with the track time or the lap times being as low as 90 seconds around here for the GT3s, and they'll be about 10 seconds faster for the prototype cars. Looking forward to seeing all of the multi-class madness that'll be taking place with an expected pit stop for the drivers throughout this sprint race. I can only imagine it'll be a little hectic and chaotic coming down pit road.
Absolutely, and I mean, we'll have some drivers there in the top 10 that should be a little bit further up the grid. Kurt Moss there in P10, 2 seconds off the pace. I'm assuming he will find his way a little bit further down the ladder. We have a few other drivers who are missing in action. Mission Wallace, who won't be racing here this evening, as well as Kimani Eastman, unfortunately, because of their power issues. But yeah, it's looking competitive on the field. We have Vince De Silva there in P3 of GT Panama. 8 tenths off the pace. 1:35 is what I'm assuming is going to be the qualifying time this evening. I was thinking about 1:35.3 would be the pole time. 1:35.2 fastest lap this week was 1:35.4. So, you know, once the sandbags come out, Cigar, the drivers do tend to get a little bit quicker and quicker. As even Jay there is improving in Sector 1.
Absolutely, he is finding time through Sector 1. Let's take a look at the man driving the lonely Lexus out on the racetrack here this evening. The 604 is aptly put out in first place, looking pretty good as they come into the infield section past the Total Energies board and around into the final couple of corners. Jaden Harrison gaining some speed and momentum through that Sector 1 and out through Sector 3, pushes out to the exit curbing as far and wide as possible. Is going to cross over to the pit road line as wide as possible as well, trying to use all the track that has been bought and paid for here at Interlagos, or at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. And a 1:35.042 is going to be that new pole position time.
And he absolutely heard me with my predictions and said, you know what, anything you can do, I can do better. What a lap there by Jaden Harrison. What a lap. Any predictions here, Cigar?
I am a GTP fanboy only because I have run with Vicente De Silva in the past, and I know that man is awfully quick out on the racing track. So my money is going to go to the GTP boys to keep it calm, cool, and collected for the majority of this race. And I'm looking forward to seeing them on the racetrack. Vicente De Silva sitting in pit lane right now, and that'll conclude his qualifying run, though. And that'll wrap things up for their run of things. 10 minutes on the clock signals that the hypercars will be ready to roll out. K Moss finding improvement through Sector 1, indicated by the green time around his sector time. But we are going to get the GTPs rolling out here shortly. And that'll conclude the GT3's run of things here in just a few moments.
Absolutely, and I just want to take a quick moment to shout out John Singleton and the AC karting community, our good friends over there in Australia who have been integral to the growth at the Jsra. So yeah, I'm happy that most of us are safe over here. We have some sim racers over in the west as well that luckily got through the hurricane. We went through a category 5 hurricane this weekend, which was absolutely terrifying, but God's grace has been sufficient. So but yeah, just taking a moment to shout out John over there, as well as the AC karting community, Danville as well, from Noble Racing, one of our partners as well here at the Jsra, and just Indian Stig Racing. Thanks for the good luck. That goes to the drivers. Definitely looking forward to what's to come.
Absolutely. And big shout outs or big ups to our title sponsor, the S Hotel Jamaica. Thank you very much for providing us with all of the money that we needed to get our commentary going and the prizes available for all of the drivers. Why don't you give us a rundown of what the prizes are at stake for those that are wondering at home?
We got $900 to give out in totality. 600 will be going to the top 5 in each class of the GT3 and the hypercars each, and as well as the top 5 teams will be incentivized at the end of the season. So definitely looking forward. The drivers know they have quite a good funding coming their way. So their hard work is not in vain. It's just sad and unfortunate for some drivers because even Team Jsra of Kurt Moss and Mission Wallace will now definitely be at risk. They were fighting for the top 2 spot in the team championship, especially the GT3s. But unfortunately, Mission Wallace out in Mandeville does not have light or internet at the moment. Again, it's just a devastation at what happened on the west side of the country. But that being said, he says he's safe and he'll be back on track as quickly as possible. But the funding from SOTL does help us because again it did lend to even the ability to have our commentary in place and streaming, because right now we don't have internet even in Kingston where I am right now. So even to be on board right now is mainly off of the data on my mobile plan. So I am just grateful that we had everything in store before all of this happened, and just looking forward to what else is to come.
Absolutely. Big ups to God himself for taking care of all the drivers and protecting everybody. Home and lives are saved, hopefully, but the internet and electricity will come back in due time. Things that can be replaced versus the things that cannot be replaced. The drivers will be sure excited to come back to the racing action here shortly. Jaden Harrison, thank you very much for the kind words. I know you're talking about me, of course, and not my co-announcer. Just kidding. Of course you are talking about Steven. Gimmicks. Of course. Best commentator is back.
He has me here blushing. I mean, obviously he has you blushing. But that being said, Cigar, we now have a 4-way battle because Mikhail Charles, Omar Escorcio, Andres Mora and Ian Lance there are fighting for the top step of the podium. These 4 are I'll even include Mr. Aiton right behind in Shakir. They are very rapid, and this is going to be a 6-way battle because we even have Miguel Betran who just joined for the first round here at the Jsra. He's going to be very fun to watch because he's been racing in the Ferrari Challenge. So he's going to bring some very interesting battles. Mikhail Charles said to me directly that the only person he's really worried about is Amar. So let's see what can happen between them. But right now, 5 tenths up is Omar Escorcio, the Colombian, who was done a 124.546. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are going the way of Miguel Beltran right now because the driver was the quickest during the practice session that I saw and was putting down quite a few laps more than the drivers around him. And the key to success throughout these micro or mini endurance races, regardless if you call it a sprint or not, is going to be your consistency. So the drivers that are out there doing the most amount of laps in a significant amount of time during these practice heats are the drivers I'm keeping my eye on. And Miguel Bertrand sure is one of those drivers that was impressing me throughout the practice stint. He was putting down the most amount of laps. He was the quickest overall, and that's the kind of consistency that I'm looking for in a driver. He's good enough for third position right now, and he's going to park it on the apron and come down pit lane. Looking at Cam Moore now, the driver in fourth place. He's about a half second back, nearly 6/10 off the good, but he's looking to improve through sector 2 and coming to the line in sector 3. He cannot beat that 1:24.546 time, but it is good enough for second place, only off the mark by 2/10.
The key with Andres now is he missed last round, as well as he had a DNF earlier in the season as well. So we do have one drop race. That's not looking too pretty for him. And that was because of an internet issue. He was sitting in P2 in round 2 at Imola and then missed round 3 at Sebring. So he has some work to do. He's a 10th off of Amar. Michael Charles 2/10 off of Amar as well. So Amar looks like the most dominant driver right now. But as you said, Miguel in his first round here is looking to make a stamp. He's only 3/10. He says his race pace is better than his qualifying. So you might have a point there, brother. I'm looking forward to seeing what can happen there.
Typically, that's the way it goes, is this pace and consistency shows itself during the actual event rather than during the qualifying run, where drivers are typically flat out. Drivers will lift and coast during some braking zones to conserve some of that virtual energy in their tank to prevent going down pit road for longer than quite necessary. But right now, we've got 10 drivers who have all done their qualifying in the hypercar category. We've got 13 registered. Cisneros, Garcia, and Brando all sitting in pit lane and going to be starting from the back of the pack with 2 minutes and some change remaining on the clock. Andreas Quevedo has got to get the hurry up and go on to get some laps under his belt. He's going to get this one plus one more and maybe a bonus lap if he is lucky, but not with times like that. Losing a significant amount during sector 2 and approaching the line coming out of sector 3. It's a long stretch before you get to the checkered stripe.
Absolutely. And at this point, I'm gonna, as you see, Camilo Andres Mora coming out now to get his final lap out. He clearly feels like he has something to prove. He's only 100th up on Omar Escorcia. So these two, clearly, it's going to be a battle between them two, as well as Mikhail Charles, who is improving in Sector 1. But yes, at that point, I am going to leave you in commentary for a bit to go and rally the troops for the race to begin. So again, I'll be back in a few, but good luck to you, Sagar, and to the drivers. This is going to be absolutely epic, as Daniel Velez now 3/10 off as well, off of the pole position set by Camilo Andres Mora. This is going to be a shootout to the end.
Yeah, it will be. And there goes Andreas Quevedo off at the S's, it looks like. And the number 7 car has to recover, get back on track, and try to get to the line before it strikes midnight. And hopefully the driver in 10th position can gain some speed here for their final lap of qualifying. But I don't believe with 30 seconds remaining, they'll have enough. Looking at the top of the charts, Cam Mora is the driver on provisional pole position, with Omar Escorcia challenging for that pole position, and he is improving through sector 2, getting to the line, coming out of sector 3. Will this be enough for Escorcia? Coming to the line in just a few moments time. He only needs to pull out less than a 10th. Does he have it in the pocket? No, he loses it to sector 3, and that'll be absolutely gut-wrenching to know that you're 15 thousandths off of pole position. Michael Charles running in P3 currently, 3/10 off the good, 2/10 back from Omar Escorcia. Miguel Bertrand in P4 currently. Daniel Velez is running in 5th place, 3/10 off of the good, parked it on the apron there, and that'll be the end of their run. Carol Eaton is the driver in 6th position, currently in the hypercar category, running in 6th position with a 125.042. That last opportunity that they were able to run. Ian Lance in 7th, Raven Plummer in 8th, Bruce Pina in 9th, and Andres Covido running in 10th. Cisneros, Garcia, and Brando running 11th, 12th, and 13th currently. Now, will this be a valid lap for Quevedo, or will it not be? He's crossing over the apron like this will be a valid lap for themselves. 125.477 will bump him up out of 10th place and into 8th position. Anything's better than nothing. Omar Escorcia, 0.3 off the mark. 3,000, excuse me, off of the mark currently. Let's look at the session results here in just a second. Cam Mora out in P1 in front of Omar Escorcia in P2. Mikael Charles in 3rd. Miguel Beltran in 4th. Mikael Charles in 3rd, Miguel Beltran in 4th, excuse me, Daniel Velez in 5th, Carol Eaton in 6th, Ian Lance in 7th, Andres Covido in 8th, Raven Plummer in 9th, and Bruce Pena rounding out your top 10. In the hypercar category, looking at GT3s, it'll be Jaden Harrison out in P1, out in the lead by 1.3 seconds in front of Casey Jackman, Vicente De Silva as well. K. Moss in 4th position, Phil Brown in 5th, Rohi Robinson in 6th, Shannon Dotton in 7th, Ricardo Swoby in 8th, Roger Keller in 9th, and Nathan Brown rounding out your top 10. Fella guy says he'll take P1 turn 1. Shaded gonna rage quit on lap 2, making some very sharp predictions right now. And let's look at the starting order, shall we? Out on row 1, it'll be Cam Morrow alongside Omar Escorcia in P2. On row number 2, it'll be Mikael Charles and Miguel Beltran in 4th position. On row number 3, it'll be Daniel Velez and Carol Eaton driving the Aston Martins. Row number 4, it'll be Ian Lance and Andres Covido rounding out the 4th row there. On row number 5, it'll be Raven Plummer and Bruce Pina in that 10th place. In row number 6, Jaden Harrison alongside Casey Jackman in 12th position. On row number 7, it'll be Vicente De Silva versus K. Moss and a lucky Lamborghini. Row number 8, it'll be Phil Brown with Rohi Robinson in the number 16 spot. On row 10, it'll be Shannon Dotton and Ricardo Swoby. In the following row, Roger Keller and Nathan Bryan on row 10. Row 11 will be Julian Arce and Rich Dyer rounding out the 22nd position. Row number 12, it'll be Cisneros and Danitos Garcia. On row 13, Javier Brando with AJ Martin in the 26th spot. Row number 14, Sebastian Rodriguez and Matt Titus. Row 15, Mission Wallace and Kaimani Eastman. And I believe these are the drivers that are no longer with us. Cesar Barahona in 31st with Ramiro Dominguez in 32nd. Row 17, Juan R. Velasco and Declan Daniel. And you heard it from race control. The formation lap has officially started. And we're up to 25 drivers in this race so far. Let's keep a close eye on the drivers we do have currently, and we'll take care of the rest as time goes on. Getting the line and ready to take the green flag here shortly. Coming around the pit line as we speak. Driver in first place controls the field. The driver in second on the outside line. That'll be Omar S. Garcia. Jaden Harrison leading the GT3s. Before that, it's green, green, green. And away we go out in the front of the hypercar field. It'll be Omar S. Garcia taking the lead in front of Cam Mora. On the outside line is Cam Mora. And they're going to go elbows out racing the Cadillac versus the Ferrari. Getting a little argy-bargy with each other for just a moment's time. Coming in through turn 3, headed down the hill and towards turn 4. It's looking a little bit neater for all of the GTP's category vehicles. Aston Martin on Aston Martin violence currently as we look further down the field. It's a little bit more hectic and scary for the 5th place car of Carroll Eaton currently. And almost getting dive bombed. No, he is getting dive bombed. I believe that is Ian Lance who just chopped it up. The number 83 car sent it on the inside line, gained 2 positions out of 1 corner. Now has the optimum line again for the following corner. And our Team Ertz Jota team will find their way around the Aston Martin here shortly. Looking back at the GT3 field, Vicente da Silva has lost 3rd position to K. Moss in 3rd now. Vicente's back up into 4th position. Let's take a brief look at the action here shortly as Jaden Harrison escapes with his life. 1.3 seconds in the lead right now in front of Casey Jackman. Vicente da Silva gets past K. Moss there, coming out of the final corner, covering off the inside line is going to be Vicente in front of Moss, but all behind Casey Jackman and Jaden Harrison. Daniel Velez, for the Velez fans, is running in 4th position, half a second off of Michael Charles currently. Looking down the track, headed down towards turn number 4. The drivers are separated by just about nothing. And it's looking all free and clear for the driver named Michael Charles until he loses a position to Daniel Velez currently. And the Aston Martin from behind locks up. And that'll be the 868 losing position to Daniel Velez, the driver out in 3rd right now. Chasing down Omar S. Garcia and Cam Mora, who are running 1-2, separated by 0.4 of a second. The Ferrari just a nose behind the Cadillac, running out in P1. Vicente da Silva going side by side with Casey Jackman coming out of the final corner. Vicente is going to have the run of things and have the inside line leading down into towards corner number 1. This has all allowed Jaden Harrison to escape up the road by 2.5 seconds. And are they going to touch going into corner number 1? Almost a bump in the rump there from Casey Jackman into Vicente da Silva, but Silva quick and fast with his hands able to escape the clutches of Casey Jackman. Now, further up the road by nearly 3 seconds is Jaden Harrison. Casey's looking towards the inside line, heading down the hill towards turn 4. Can't find the daylight there. What about Rohei Robinson and Phil Brown? The AMGs were getting awfully close on the racetrack together, but now it'll be Ricardo Swoby who's trying to get the move done on the German counterpart driving the Mercedes. There goes Jackman a little further back and almost tucks in behind K. Moss, coming through the infield now. With the 823 unable to get the overtake completed on the number 59 car, the Aston Martin Vantage, so that'll be a fight fought on another day. Escorcia only 3/10 back from Cam Mora currently. Daniel Velez still within spitting distance of Mikel Charles, out in front by 6/7 of a second currently to Mikel Charles. Fellow guy says, well, predictions fail. Jaden Harrison gonna win and Mikel gonna get P2. New predictions, interesting. Mikel Charles has a long way to go if he wants to get P2. He's got to get by a driver named Daniel Velez, who's running pretty well. And we saw him running well during Sebring also, until an incident took him out of the running. And Omar Escorcia holding down to that P2 line, currently only 3/10 behind Cam Mora. Currently, we're looking at Vicente De Silva and Casey Jackman's battle, as Casey slinkies backwards and forwards with his time, not running as consistently as I think he would like, almost into the clutches of K. Moss. Sells a dummy to the Vicente. I think Vicente had to back out there just for a moment briefly in cautionary action.
And I'm back, Cigar. And just looking at the battle, Vince did make a wicked move there on Casey Jackman there not too long ago. Kurt Moss there and just sizing up now, waiting on his moment to shine. He's a very patient driver here at the JSR. He is part of Team JSR, as a matter of fact. So we are definitely looking to see him try and make the move on the Trinidad, and in front of him, but right behind Kurt Moss is Phil Brown. Rapid driver from the United States as well, so it's gonna be a train there, but yeah, what a clean start for the majority. Daniel Velez moving up a place was I think of a shock, to be honest, to take it from Mikel Charles, his teammate right behind him. But Omar and Camila Andres in P1 and P2, they will enjoy that battle between themselves for the majority, or for now at least. But yeah, what a start to this race.
Absolutely, what a start to this race. Cam Mora and Escorcia separated by just 1/10 of a second coming through the infield, now gapping at around 4/10 of a second. As you can see, that Cadillac is awfully fast coming out of the back stretch of the track, and it looked like the Ferrari from behind was bottoming out throughout the slower corners, and that'll really slow down its run of things pretty quickly. But it looks like the Cadillac was only bottoming out during the faster parts of the track coming through the front straightaway and on our way towards turn 1. Let's see where the sparks fly for both of these cars coming down this straight, and it looks like the Caddy is well balanced while the Ferrari is not bottoming out throughout the straightaway on the run towards turn 4. Looking back at that battle between K. Moss and Phil Brown now, he's getting chased down by 4/10 of a second, but looking forward has Casey Jackman in his crosshairs, currently just 2/10 up the road.
No, this is going to be interesting because Casey, very clean driver. Now Kurt Moss will have a rundown coming through the final corner, and this is going to be a key overtaking spot. You see Casey immediately goes defensive, tries to break the toe. Kurt Moss doesn't have the time or the space there to make the move, but still will just sit right there in the slipstream there, Cigar. This is going to be a battle to watch.
Absolutely, for sure. This is going to be a battle to watch. The battle for P3, P4, and P5 is definitely spicing up to be something here in the GT3 category. But let's not lose sight of the big prize, the drivers in Hypercar giving us a run for their money. Oh no, what happened to Daniel Velez, currently running in 10th position right now? The driver was out in 3rd. Not sure what happened to him, but a 38-second sector one time must have happened in lap traffic. Let's see if we can see what is up with Daniel Velez right now as he enters pit lane. A little premature for this race, don't you think?
Well, so I'm watching the replay now. Not sure if I can show it to the viewers at some point in the race, but I have noted the time. Daniel Velez did get slightly tapped by Michael Charles, sent him into the wall, coming into the what's the Senna S? And that ruined his first part of the race because he couldn't get out of the wall, and that's what relegated him down to the back of the pack. So that's where he ended up in P10 with some damage to the front of his car. Maybe just took it as an opportunity to just refuel and just take it to the end of the race. Hopefully can make it to the end. But there was a little bit of contact between P3 and P2 in Michael Charles. P3 and P4, my apologies.
Well, unfortunate incident happened, but the headlights are flashing from Michael Charles as he gets by the front runners in the GT3 category. Only a handful of laps into this event, and we're already running into traffic. 34:40 left on the clock. We're going to see this happen a few more times, and of course the stewards are going to have a look at that incident, and that'll be Daniel Velez down into 22nd position behind the GT3 cars. So what that means is he will not get blue flag rules applied to him. He will be on the same lap as the GT3 categories and will unfortunately have to fight his way through them.
And you know, that's just disappointing, especially in a 45-minute sprint race. Now, the thing is, it is set to 2x fuel. So that's where strategy is going to come into place, because now, you know, it is a little bit early, 10 minutes in the race, to have to go to the end. He's going to have to do some form of fuel saving at some point in the race. Hopefully we'll be able to use these GT3 cars as a point to try and coast a little bit, but you know, at the end of the day, he's trying his best to try and get through the field as quickly as possible. So how will this affect his strategy? Only time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell what the drivers are up to on their strategies, and it's up to anybody's prediction right now to see how the cards may fall, but we will see what is in store for us when it comes down for the checkered flag. 33 minutes left on the clock as Michael Charles chops it through the GT3 field currently. Let's check out the battle between Omar Escorcia and Cam Mora as they're now separated by 1.2 seconds on track. The driver that I expected to do a little bit better than most is half second behind Carol Eden, Miguel Bertran, running in 5th position right now.
I think what's more surprising, I think Omar overtook Camilo earlier on, a few laps ago. So we did miss that battle, unfortunately. I think it was about 9 minutes in by lap 5, right by turn 6. That battle looked like it could have been good. But that being said, yeah, your predicted driver is now 3/10 off of Carol Eiten, and that's going to be interesting to watch as they continue on in that Valkyrie. His teammate is Mr. Velez. So they are not off to the best start as he's now sitting in P10. So that's going to be interesting to watch, Cigar.
And I can't tell what happened to K Moss here through the infield section, but they were going awfully slowly and lost more than a handful of places. Now into 9th position currently. The BMW driver in the yellow livery not doing so well, but Shannon Dotton looks like they are doing pretty well. Upgraded themselves into 8th position and challenging the number 46 of Ricardo Swoby in that 7th position. K Moss following clean in behind, and it'll be a BMW train that the hypercar is going to have to chop their way through.
I'm trying to find out what happened with Kurt Moss, so I'll give you an update in a second.
Sounds good. When looking at the rest of this GT3 battle that's brewing up in front of us, the BMWs are looking fierce and monstrous on the racetrack, that's for sure. Currently running in 7th, 8th, and 9th, the BMWs are well equipped to take charge of this field, as we see Vicente De Silva in 2nd place, Casey Jackman running in 3rd, and Phil Brown in 4th position. Jaden Harrison taking charge with that lovely Lexus by 8.5 seconds of this event, running pretty well themselves currently. Let's look at the head-to-head battle really quickly.
And it looks like it was an incident between Phil Brown and Kurt Moss that caused him. Not sure, maybe for the next stream we can offer a little instant replay feature from my point of view and maybe a small box. Not sure if that's possible for today.
Check your Discord. Check your Discord.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll check it right now. But yeah, watching it now, it was a move with Phil Brown and Kurt Moss, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate incident that took place between them, but Kurt Moss challenging forward yet again on Swoby, the driver in 8th position, looking for a move coming out of turn 3 on the run down towards turn 4. Will this be a leap of faith? No, he looks for it, but he can't quite jump just yet.
All right, so I saw your message. I'm gonna send you the link in a second.
Perfect.
Whoa.
Sounds great. And we'll get
and I'll just let you know when we have
sorted in just a few moments time, and we'll be able to review and recap some of these events. Cheers for Shannon Dotton out in P7 currently, running in front of Swoby and K Moss currently, and Shannon Dotton's done a great job keeping it calm, cool, and collected. Like I said on the previous lap, upgraded themselves up into P8, now running in P7 and challenging for in front of these duos of BMWs.
So I did send you the link. So any replay that you'd like to see, please feel free to let me know, and I'll let you know when it's ready and we can go live on it. But yeah, this has been a very, I don't want to say anticlimactic, a very climactic beginning to this endurance. Jaden Harrison, very dominant. Max Verstappen-esque of a race series here, almost 8 seconds up the field from Vincent De Silva. Said it to him before the race, sir, you haven't had a podium, you're one of our fastest drivers, though he's not racing for Team Jsra this evening or the series, still one of our leaders at the Jsra. You need to make an impression. So glad to see him there. Hopefully that's not the commentator's curse at its best. But Vincent De Silva as well, looking very rapid there in P2. Casey Jackman, Phil Brown, P3 and P4. Daniel Velez still making his way through from the early disappointments. Has a few more GT3s than the first hypercar on the chopping block will be Bruce Penny, the Trinidad driver, as well as Raven Plummer. That's going to be a long evening here. 30 minutes remaining, 27 to be exact. That's going to be a fun night of racing for Danielle.
Absolutely, it sure will be a fun night of racing for these drivers, and I am just setting up one more button for us, and we will be ready to take care of any replays that we want to look at. So give me one brief moment and let me know when you have a replay ready, and we'll go ahead and test this out. As we look forward right now to the battle at hand between Ricardo Swoby and K Moss, that is still brewing up to be something, separated by 0.4 of a second. As we heard, K Moss involved with an incident earlier on in this event. Fast lap being a 1:37.5 currently behind, Swoby being behind K Moss, as the move did get done and dusted. Now K Moss is challenging forward to Shannon Dotton, trying to change things up a little bit. Let's head back over to the tower screen to see what our top 5 are all up to. Jaden Harrison pulled out a 9-second gap in front of Vicente de Silva. Daniel Velez is the driver currently trying to make up pace on the field, running in 10th position overall currently, and has to get by Jaden Harrison sooner rather than later to chase down Bruce Pina, and he's one lap down on the good for tonight. Let's check out the battle between Miguel Bertrand and Carl Eaton. Driver in 4th position, challenged by just 0.28 of a second.
And the Cayman driver being hounded by the Colombian, and the driver driving for Noble Racing. As a heads up as well, once we can get a little bit of clear air, we do have the first replay between Mikhail Charles and Daniel Velez. That incident ready to go. So anytime you're ready, you can let me know, and I will go. I will press play. But this battle is going to be interesting. That driver, Kirill Aiton, has been consistent all throughout. We had a sprint series before, and he himself did end up in the podium for 7 Mile Racing. He is the leader of 7 Mile Racing out there in Cayman Islands, one of our partners here at the Jsra, and he's been very dominant. As you see, that Automotive Arts by Cayman Islands, Automotive Arts Cayman Islands, my apologies, very prominent on that Valkyrie, and they will fight it out until the end. But 2/10 the difference between the two. Again, it's the top 5 drivers in the totality of the series that will be getting a prize at the end of the season from both the GT3 and the Hypercar. So that's going to be fun for them. But yeah, at this point, this is all fun racing, guys.
Absolutely phenomenal racing put out by all of the drivers here tonight, giving us a show that's worthy of our support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, all that good stuff to support the stream, and go ahead and hit play on that replay in 3, 2, 1. There we go.
And as you see there, that is Mikhail Charles in the Valkyrie, just sitting in the slipstream of Daniel Velez now. This was the first incident that we saw, and he was just hounding, heading up down now into turn 1, and you're going to see him late on the brakes, slight lock up in the rear, as a matter of fact, for Daniel Velez in front. There goes, touches him in, and that was Daniel Velez in the background there, and just couldn't get out of the wall for whatever reason, cannot explain it, and then front damage, had to head to the pits afterwards. Unfortunate for him.
I think you have to refresh that window or keep it open for the replay to work, unfortunately. If you close the browser, it will not work. So all we saw was a still frame of K Moss's car as the driver is chopping up through the GT3 field currently.
Oh no.
They're looking pretty racy right now, and if you need to reopen the link to Video Ninja and keep the browser open, you need to send me a new link, as there is a bump in the rump from Bertrand to Eaton out in front, and they are making their way through the GT3 field pretty quickly now, with just about half a way left to go through this event. 22 minutes left on the clock, folks, and the gap opens up between Carl Eaton and Miguel Bertrand, and the drivers in 4th and 5th. Looking further back, let's look at Kay Moss and Shannon Dotton right now as they're separated by 9/10 of a second on the field, but it's looking like it'll be a lot closer in the next coming lap because Kay Moss puts down a new fast lap for himself, a 1:36.822. Fastest lap of the race for the GT3s will be a 1:35.707. That's from Jaden Harrison, of course, the driver out in P1 by 12.5 seconds. Holy Toledo. And in the GTP category, that'll be a 1:24.881, set by Omar Escorcia, the driver in the lead by 3.5 seconds currently.
Okay, so I am trying to get the screen share going, but I'm having a few issues, so please bear with me as we continue to get this running smoothly. Unfortunately, again, I don't have Wi-Fi, so I'm doing everything based off of the data on my phone, which can lend to some issues, so I do apologize.
No problems whatsoever here, as Kay Moss has closed down the gap on Shannon Dotton. The drivers in 7th and 6th position. Kay Moss trying to regain that track position, that coveted position that he lost earlier on. And there goes a battle between the GTPs. No, that'll conclude, as that looks like Daniel Velez coming through the field currently. No, that's not. Whom is that coming through the field right there? Is that Miguel Bertrand? It might have been. Yes, it was Bertrand coming through the field through turn 1, looking pretty nippy there as he cuts through the GT3 category. That looks like Vicente de Silva is cutting this one a little bit early, and down pit road they go. The driver in 2nd position coming in pit lane. Phil Brown, Casey Jackman all in pit lane, and we're going to have a race coming down pit road to the fast lane, as whom is that driving the Petronas AMG in behind Vicente de Silva? That'll be Phil Brown, it looks like. Yes, it is. Now driver was in 5th place, now coming out in 10th place behind Vicente de Silva currently. And this will potentially be a battle for 2nd and 3rd. Phil Brown pulling out the undercut of a century himself with a very short fuels time. Roger Keller running in, Casey Jackman losing out there. The driver now behind Phil Brown and Vicente de Silva. So there's your 3rd, 4th, and 5th place provisionally. But right now they're running 9th, 10th, and 11th place. A little bit earlier than we expected, but the drivers playing this one safe and doing the 50-50 strategy, coming in right around that 20-minute mark. And there goes Mikael Charles out of 3rd position, drops down off the jacks and is getting refueled currently. After the tire change took place, we are going to be seeing some green flag running here to the very end of this event. The 868 getting ready to roll out, but not quite ready yet. Oh, and the number 12 Team Hertz Jota car missed its marks, had to get jacked up, moved, and put down again. It looks like the 12 Hertz Jota will be coming out of pit lane, and it looks like the 868 had to get jacked up and moved, pointed in the right direction out into the fast lane before it could get rolling again, so losing a significant amount of time before they could go back to green flag running. Looking at the GT3s again, Vicente de Silva just ahead of Phil Brown by 0.6 of a second on the racetrack. The drivers in 4th and 5th right now. Jaden Harrison has taken his pit stop now, drops down into 3rd behind Julian Narce and K Moss. The drivers who have inherited the lead of this race are going to be K Moss and Julian Narce. Camora in pit lane with Miguel Betran, Andres Covido, and Omar Escorcia rolling out right now. Escorcia should have a handy lead ahead of any opponents that entered the pit lane behind him, as they are rolling with, I presume, a lack of changing tires. Daniel Velez staying out of the pit lane, trying to get that lap back, has promoted themselves into 9th position, only 5.8 seconds behind Bruce Pina currently. To give you an update for all the Daniel Velez fans out there, I know you're out there in form. And here's Swoby chasing down Rohei Robinson. Battle for 6th and 7th position. John Singleton saying that Jaden needs some ballast. I think he does need some ballast, and I think Race Control can do that on the fly even, through all of the SimGrid apps that are available to Race Control. So if ever we need to give him 200% ballast, we can absolutely do that race by race, and he has nothing to do but just continue to drive his car. But we can give him some success ballast should we need to. I think I've lost my co-announcer for just a moment now, waiting for him to return and try to get the replays up and running again. So we'll give him some time to return before we try to do any more replay functionality. Currently, it's a 1-second gap between Rohei Robinson and Ricardo Swoby in P6 and P7. Phil Brown still chasing down Vicente De Silva, but the fast laps are not adding up. Phil Brown in 3rd position behind Vicente De Silva. Jaden Harrison running in 1st position. Daniel Velez does get by Bruce Pina on that lap. They're separated by around 0.8 of a second now. Keeping an eye on this gap between Casey Jackman and Phil Brown, because this is a battle that will definitely brew up to be the battle for P3 and P4, as Casey Jackman took a slightly longer pit stop time, but Phil Brown potentially not taking tires will be a bit slower coming out of the final few corners. Number 59 trails the Petronas AMG out in front, running in 3rd position currently, but that's all going to change with Casey Jackman on the attack. Casey Jackman looks at the inside line, coming through turn number 1, not close enough to make anything work there. Through turns 2 and turn 3 is definitely gaining a lot of speed and potentially finding track limits as they find the exit curb coming out of corner number 3. Looks to the inside line, lick of the stamp, and ascend on the number 4 in 4th place now. But they're going to go side by side all the way through corner number 4 and corner number 5, allowing Casey Jackman to go fully alongside. Is not the opportune move for Phil Brown, Brown, but Brown has to relinquish that position to Casey Jackman on the attacking inside line. Has nothing to retort that statement except for try to drive his heart out, going the long way around the outside at corner number 11 is not going to work out in their favor. On the approach to corner number 12, this is a different story. No, this is corner number 10, excuse me. Now we're getting to corner number 11, and Brown on the attack gets by Casey Jackman. Epic lap-long battle here between the Petronas AMG car and the AMR Vantage from behind. And we'll see if we have my co-commentator back one more time.
Mic check. Mic
yes,
check.
We have you loud and clear there, Mr. Stewart.
Epic. Not sure what happened there, brother, but yeah, glad to be back.
Looks like it was a Discord fault on my end. A little Control-Alt-Delete, as you would in some of these GTP cars with the electronic issues. We face that in the commentary booth as well.
Absolutely. Seeing Phil Brown there, 3/10 off of Casey Jackman for the podium spot. Jaden Harrison, dominant performance here. Max Verstappen Escobar performance. Vincent De Silva, you called his name early, said he would have been there for the top step of the podium. It's not too far off. I mean, in P2, but still, that looks very promising for GT Panama.
A very good run for the GTP boys, that's for sure. And a good haul of points running in second place. The driver who missed the Sebring event now looking pretty good for round number 4. There goes the GTP up the inside line on Brown, but now stuck in the mix between Casey Jackman now and struggling to find a way by on the exit of turn 3 is not the best place for that GTP car, but it makes it work nonetheless. Now separated by 2 car lengths is the battle between the 59 and the number 4, and lap traffic giveth and lap traffic taketh away in the same breath.
Ooh, and I'm so sorry, but Ricardo Swaby and Roger Keller are going through a moment, and contact was made between the two, the Swiss driver and the Jamaican. A very pretty 360 there for Ricardo. Did lose a position. I'm sure the stewards will get to that at some point. But that was a very interesting battle there. Just tune into it at the last matter of the second. But that battle was very dramatic there. In these stages, but yeah, man, this has been a very interesting race so far. We have about less than 10 minutes, eight and a half minutes there to see Roger Keller being overtaken by the hypercars. But yeah, I was saying before we got disconnected that I will work on the replay feature because it's not hard to do. I just believe because of the internet situation that we have over here in Jamaica, it is lending to a few difficulties because the video is just sticking once I go screen share. It's almost like a screenshot. So that's unfortunate, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out for next round at Circuit de Le Mans de Sarthe.
Especially when we have an endurance race, that'll be great to watch the replays back, and of course providing you with as much commentary as possible. We just saw the battle between Miguel Bertrand and Carl Eaton get settled here, and sandwiching the AMG coming out of corner number 3, headed down the hill towards corner number 4. It looks like a move from Carl Eaton in 5th place, but no, didn't want to go for it quite yet. The 009 leads in 4th position over the 5th place spot of Carl Eaton. Phil Brown and Casey Jackman close on track yet again, separated by just a credit card between the bumpers of those vehicles as they get by. I believe that's Nathan Bryan in the 10th place spot, who's going slowly on the track, yields the position and allows them to come through.
And Phil Brown there, just a point of emphasis still. Just honing the likes of the Trinidad and in Casey Jackman for that final step of the podium for the GT3 class.
And this is definitely a battle that Phil Brown is not going to give up in the near future. He is actually staying within touching distance of Casey Jackman, and I thought he would lose the pace considerably with such a short pit stop that he ended up taking, but the driver has obviously done enough practice laps during their own session to get comfortable with this Petronas AMG and the amount of fuel load that it would need to get to the very end. But there goes lap traffic, the 868 of Mikhail Charles sandwiching themselves between the GT3 traffic currently. And like I say, lap traffic giveth, lap traffic taketh away. Even happens to the LMGT3 field as well in the slower category.
And I will say, Phil Brown was supposed to be in the BMW M4 in the GT3. My apologies. He tried to join in the race in round 3 at Sebring, but had some issues. The drivers are allowed one car swap per season. He said to me that he did the 12 hours of Spa, said he fell in love with that Petronas AMG, so decided, hey, I missed Sebring because of technical issues, let me try the AMG this week. And he is looking rapid as this is his first GT3 race. He was in the hypercars before, switched classes, and has found some pace here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at the first podium space for himself, the United States driver hunting down the likes of the Trinidadian in front of him. I will say I'm slightly biased to Trinidad as for personal reasons. But yeah, he is having fun out there in that Mercedes.
The battle between Mikhail Charles, Miguel Betran, and Carl Eaton is brewing up as all of the Aston Martins on the grid are going to nearly go side by side, coming throughout turn number 4 and on the exit of corner number 5, getting a little bit dicey here. Currently running absolutely nose to tail. Ooh. Carl Eaton almost running into the back. There goes the 4th place car up the inside. That's the 009 on the 868, but the over-under didn't quite stick, and flashy of the headlights from the car from behind, and they are going to touch Martin as they go into the backside of the racetrack. And there goes Swirly Whirly, the 345, throws out the yellow flag. That'll be Carl Eaton doing it all on his lonesome.
Now, what's amazing is this: Carl Eaton and Mikhail Charles are teammates for 7 Mile Racing. So, is this going to lend to some strategy? But that was Carl Eaton that lost out, as you said, and that will mean that Mikhail Charles will be a lone soldier to fight back for that final podium spot. He's been one of the rapid drivers here this season. Has had the fastest pace. He's been struggling from lap 1 to now. Will he be able to get it? It was your driver. I chose Mikhail Charles, as a matter of fact, and you chose Miguel Betran. So this is where it's going to get interesting, and right ahead of them is Mikhail's best friend in Jaden Harrison. Hopefully we don't see any hanky-panky as they lead up to that driver in Jaden right in front in that Lexus RCF.
No, Jaden Harrison is a clean-cut driver for the most part. 17.3 seconds in the lead of Vicente de Silva currently. We're going to keep our eye on this battle here in the GTP category, but excuse me, we are not, as Casey Jackman gets one done on him by Phil Brown going in towards corner number 4. Just saw that in the timing tower out of the corner of my eye, and on the penultimate lap, Jackman gets done over by Phil Brown. Now, can Brown stay ahead of Jackman now is the question, with just this lap plus one more to go.
So this is typically called in the Jsra the desperation zone, dubbed by our own Chad Dillon, one of our original commentators. So this is the moments where you see drivers just sending a move and saying, if you lick it, stick it and stamp it. But right now, Phil Brown in that Mercedes looks very good. He's been hunting down the Trinidadian for lap after lap, and it looks very good now, as he's even slightly pulling away here from intense 2.
Checking back in with Miguel Bertrand and Michael Charles. Battle for P3 and P4. This will be the final lap, if I'm not mistaken. Omar Escorcia with 1:30 left on the clock looks to be coming through the infield section. Now, no, this will be actually the final pair of corners. So this will be the last lap when Omar Escorcia crosses the line, which he'll do in just a few moments' time.
And I'm so sorry to cut you, but Rohit Robinson is pushing Shannon, the Bahamian, right through, or the Bayesian driver, my apologies, through and through the corners, sitting in the slipstream, just pushing him through the corners as they go through the Senna S. Turns 1, 2, 3, now heading down to 4, and you can see it, he's going to make a move on the inside, took a look, but nowhere to go. Shannon there puts the car where it needs to be. This is a fight for P5.
Looking pretty good for Shannon Doughton right now. The driver in 5th position started from the back of the pack actually, and trying to work their way forward, has done so successfully throughout the pit stop phase, keeping it calm, cool, and collected. But that 63 is looking awful mean and menacing in the rear view mirrors. Hopefully Doughton isn't looking too far back. Opens up the door just a little bit, and the AMG stuck a nose along the inside. Holy smokes, and holy Toledo's are definitely out. The 924 has got to chop off the nose of that long-nosed AMG if they want to make it to the checkered flag in P5. Omar Escorcia, let's check in with him and see where he is about to finish this lap, and this will be the end of this event. Omar Escorcia has done a phenomenal job in the lead by 13.1 seconds. We'll bring home P number 1 and give us a flashy of the headlights for a good measure, and he will bring us from green to checkered flag. Omar Escorcia out in P1 for the hypercar category. Cam Mora in P2. Miguel Bertrand in P3 ahead of Michael Charles by just 1 second. Let's check in with the GT3 field, as they've got about a half a lap left to go, but it'll be Jaden Harrison crossing the line. That is Cam Mora there, and Miguel Bertrand in P3.
And what an epic finish there for Omar. I mean, he did not put one foot wrong, has had some disappointments early in the season, but tonight he is rapid, taking victory here at Interlagos in the sprint event. Jaden Harrison for the GT3 class as he comes around the final 2 corners now, and will be taking his first podium of the season. Congratulations to him. I mean, it's never over until the fat lady sings, but right now it looks clear. The Jamaican, after a week of disappointments with Melissa, we at least have one Jamaican on the top step of the podium. Flashy as you call it, takes P1. Congratulations to him there.
Vicente de Silva will bring home P2. as it were, currently about 12 seconds behind Jaden Harrison as they cross the line, with Phil Brown coming home in P3 with a stiff battle with Casey Jackman chasing them down right now, but both drivers teleporting to pit lane as they're separated by just less than a tenth of a second. Rohei Robinson did get one over on Shannon Don, as we saw just a brief moment ago. Shannon Don tried to send it up the inside line, was a little unsuccessful there, and then spun out through the infield. Roger Keller coming home in 7th place for that category. Ricardo Swoby, Julian Arce, Nathan Bryan, Kay Moss, and Rich Dyer will round out the 12 drivers in the GT3 category. Let's head back over to the calendar for just a few moments while we get drivers ready for interviews. Stand by as we get the interviews ready to rumble, folks. And we'll talk to none other than Phil Brown himself first and foremost. Phil, how are you doing, brother?
Feels good and bad at the same time. I'm sorry, Mr. Moss.
A little touch there went a little awry, it seems.
Yeah, close racing. Tried to follow the hyper through and didn't think he was going to close me out like that. Didn't have any room.
Rubbing is racing, and anything that can happen in racing usually will happen in racing. Some things just have to be left up to the stewards at the end of the day. Now, Phil, you had a great run of things, even despite that battle with, you know, in the brief touch with Moss there. You had a good battle coming into the final few minutes. Talk us through what was going through your head.
Just trying not to spin. Hopefully pick up a position from a mistake, and hopefully the hypercars will come into play. They did. And he had the top speed in the Aston. I was just hoping to get a good run, and I finally got one.
Excellent job. Now, did you take tires as a strategy, or what happened during the pit stop that allowed you to gain so much time on the rest of the field?
Underfueled a little, so I had a fuel save. Didn't take any tires. That was the only way. This track is really hard to pass on.
Absolutely true. Track position means just about everything at Interlagos, and you made the strategy work in your favor. Phil Brown, everybody, did a commanding job driving the number 4 from 6th place on the opening lap and finishing out in in third position overall as we watch him perform a couple of overtakes on this opening lap. Well performed, Phil.
Thank you.
Now, is there anybody that you want to thank or any part of your race that you'd like to mention before we move on?
Just want to give a shout out to my teammate Shannon Doughton and our teams, Podium Hunters. Good job.
Right on, and good job to Shannon Doughton trying to bring it home in P5, but unfortunate incident with them resulted in some contact, and 6th place was all they were able to, come home with. But still, good result for your team. Have a great night, Phil. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Now we'll talk to someone that I'm actually quite familiar with, but I haven't talked to in a very long time. It is Vicente de Silva. Vicente, how goes things?
Hello, guys. Well, a nice comeback from a couple misses races before, because I missed some races before. So I don't expect this result because I don't practice too much. I don't prepare the race too much, but I think I do a solid quali and try to push the guys, the 2 and 3rd, really hard at the beginning of the race. So, and they fight each other. So I leave but Jaden leave the pack really early on the race. So no chance against Jaden this time.
Yeah, and unfortunately my money was on the GTP boys to bring it home out in P1. You proved me wrong, but you put up a great fight throughout this stint. To bring home P2 is nothing to shake a stick at. You did fight hard, you did fight early on in this event, and you did a great job of coming home in P2. Did you ever think that Jaden was going to make a mistake, or were you hoping that, P1 was in the cards for you tonight?
Well, I was waiting for LMDh suddenly crash into him and take it out of the race, but no chance this time. Maybe if he was fighting with another guy, maybe he lost some time, but not this time. When he is alone on the top, he's really fast.
Absolutely understood. I've seen Jaden race in other categories before, and the man is lickety-split quick, that's for sure. Now, Vicente, is there anybody that you'd like to thank or anybody that you'd like to mention before we move on to talking to Jaden Harrison next?
Well, thanks to the guys. They always support the team. Even if they don't race it, they try to help with some tips and tricks. And the sponsors, they always be there.
For sure. Thank you very much, Vicente, for joining me. Shout out to GTP, Gran Turismo Panama as well, and we'll talk to you in 1 week, I'm sure.
Later.
Later, brother. Let's pull in the man who came home in P1 for the GT3 category. That'll be none other than Jaden Harrison J, as he's known by his friends. The driver was in a commanding spot after the earlier lap of this event, led by nearly 2 seconds after the rest of the field fought with themselves. Came home 12 seconds in the lead. Jaden, how are you doing, sir?
Good. I finally finished a race in this championship.
The bad luck has finally been shaken off. Jaden Harrison able to show his stripes. Now, what did it take for you to finish this race?
Well, I think I had more pace over the others. I don't know. I guess faster on this track, or I don't know, but I'm just, taking my time, not really pushing it. There's no point in pushing to go fast when you have the upper hand. So yeah, actually to the end of the race, my car started to overheat a little bit, and I had to lift and coast. So just patience, really. Just not. I guess I got lucky because there's no one breathing down my back.
And how was it with the traffic as well? As you heard from Vicente just a moment ago, he was hoping that Grand Touring prototype car would be able to kind of nip you in the bud or shake up your stride a little bit. Were you having very many close calls, or was it mostly clean running for you?
Well, hypercars in these multi-class races, you can use them, to move a gap between the people behind and stuff. But I think, this race was more just, trying to actually stay alive with the gap, not to waste that large gap. And I was just being really safe, just pulling off the line and, letting them go. So.
Excellent strategy, played out well for you. Jaden, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out, or anybody that you'd like to thank?
I guess I'll just big up to everyone that came out, wishing the best of luck to everybody that suffered the hurricane that couldn't race today, because I don't know if you saw, the grid was a little lacking some few people. But just big up the sponsor of the series, Jsra, my personal sponsors, Label Jamaica, and yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me in the broadcast booth, Jaden Harrison. I'm sure we'll talk again very, very soon, if not probably tomorrow.
Yes.
Talk to you later, Jaden. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And whom is going to be next for the hypercar category? I've already lost my train of thought. We have 5 drivers. Escorcia came in first. Mora came in second. Patrick Boyce. No, Miguel Beltran. Miguel!
Hello,
Hello, Miguel. How do you do?
I'm very fine. I'm very happy with the result.
Yeah, you should be very happy with that result. You worked your way through the grid in that 009 Aston Martin Heart of Racing and came home in P3, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I did a mistake on the start. It was to try to save and everyone passed me. But I just think a strategy to save my tires, and I see my opponents struggling with the tires, and I take the chance to get P3.
Very nice strategy calls indeed. You did a good job keeping it calm, cool, and collected on the racing surface. Now, you had a pretty heated battle in the final closing stages. What was going through your head when you saw two Aston Martins also fighting for that coveted P3 with you?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect fighting with the P3 with that strategy. I expected P4, but I see that the P3 did a mistake, and I take the opportunity. But trying to pass the P3, the P5 was very close, and I had to barely choose one pass the P3. I see the opportunity, and I send them and take the position.
Excellent job negotiating the traffic as well. Now, this being your opening round here for the JSRA Mixed Endurance Championship, or do you plan on running for the rest of the season as well?
Yeah, it's correct. It was very fun race, and I expected that the others races will be same.
Awesome. Very glad to hear it, brother. Thank you very much for joining me. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank before I let you go?
Daniel Velez, it's another driver because he invited me to this league, and I'm very happy with this.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining me in the broadcast booth. Really appreciate you. And we'll talk to you again in 1 week's time when we get the next round underway.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Let's grab Andreas Mora next. Now, Andreas, you had a hard-fought battle early on in this event, challenging for P1, didn't you?
Yes, I had. Hey. Yeah, that was pretty intense in the beginning. We were pulling away from the guys behind, but I had too much less downforce than Omar, and I was struggling a little bit in the middle section. And yeah, I finally make a mistake, and yeah, he just passed me, and never seen him after that.
Yeah, Omar S. Garcia is no slouch to be reckoned with, that's for sure. He's a very rapid driver and very consistent driver, so
yeah,
nothing to beat yourself up about, that's for sure. He drives like Jaden Harrison does in the GT3 category. Once he's left to his own devices, he just checks out on you.
Yeah.
Now, talk to us about the Cadillac that you were driving tonight. Was it feeling pretty good and sturdy underneath you? You said you made one mistake. Was that the only mistake that you made this evening?
Well, that plus changing tires. Because, well, the Caddy is... I choose the Caddy because it's... I'm new to this game. I didn't race before the championship started. Just a couple of races with Jsra also, so it's like a pretty straightforward car, and just for handle like the battery and all that kind of stuff, it's pretty straightforward. And well, during the race, yes, there was that I don't know if you were able to see it, but I just locked in just I think it is called Pico de Pato or something like that, and he just passed me, and well, I was trying to stay close, but then the traffic just they played very well with me. And then at the pit stop, I don't know why, but I had the tick mark for changing tires. So I lost 10 seconds there to him, but yeah, he was very consistent, so I think even without changing tires, I wouldn't catch him.
Got it. Well, the strategy calls are something to definitely work for, but your pace and your consistency is very apparent here in this championship. We're looking forward to seeing you running in the next couple of races. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank or anybody that you'd like to shout out before I let you go and we talk to Omar?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, thank you for the organization. They're doing a pretty amazing job. Thanks to you for commentating. You're a great commentator, mate. I saw the last stream before. I wasn't able to race on Sebring, but yeah, I will participate on the other ones. Thanks to the sponsors, and I would like to take this to say that I wish everyone is safe after all the situation thing going on, and well, thank you very much for organizing this, and big shout out to Omar. We are teammates on the teammate championship, so a good chunk of points in this round, and I'm looking forward to the next ones.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining me in the broadcast booth, sir. We're going to talk to Omar next, and we'll wrap things up here shortly. Thank you, brother.
No, thanks to you. Have a great day.
You too.
Night.
Bye. Now let's grab the man, the myth, the legend, Omar Escorcia, the driver who came home in P1, all things said and done, in the Ferrari nonetheless. How are you doing, Omar?
I'm pretty good. really happy.
I bet you are happy with an excellent result on the evening and a good haul of points for you and your team. The top step of the podium, driving the number 51 Ferrari around Interlagos. Now tell us, how did you prepare for a track like this?
This track is really hard because you can make a lot of mistakes really fast. So you have to be on point every single corner. So it's, yeah, a lot of practice. I've been doing a lot of practice on single player.
Got it. Now, looking forward to Circuit de la Sarthe, are you as prepared, or are you going to be as prepared for the Circuit de la Sarthe?
It's really hard because the track is so long. I'm practicing. It's really hard because since it's such a long track, and you're practicing and then you just crash and you have to do the whole 3 minutes again of the lap. So it's really hard to have a really good lap. But I'm looking forward to it. I really like Le Mans, so it should be fun.
Absolutely, especially with the endurance layout that we're running and the endurance length of the event that we're running. It sure will be very interesting to see how the drivers strategize their event going forward, and as well as that practice being very challenging in these cars, where you're basically doing 6 minutes of running before you even get to do your first flying lap, needing 2 laps to warm up the tires properly, like you said.
Yeah, really hard.
Yeah, really challenging stuff there. Now, Omar, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out or anybody that you'd like to thank on the evening?
I want to give a shout out to we have a 3 Colombian podium today from Miguel and Andres Mora, I think Colombian too. And yeah, it's really good. It makes me happy to see the Colombian podium today. So also on a Latin American track, so yeah, it's really good. So shout out to them.
Absolutely. Great point, brother. Great points indeed. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful night or evening wherever you are, okay?
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Omar. Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Now, I think that's going to round things out for us after we've talked to everybody on the podium so far this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for staying tuned. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. You guys have been a fantastic crowd, from Alex Jarrett in chat to Piedad Lopez, Dan Vell, 37, BTFKV, Jaden Harrison popping up in chat as well. Thank you very much for all the love and comments that you guys have been able to send us in the broadcast booth. I can't thank you enough. Without any further ado, have a great night, and as always, please remember to stay safe out there. Bye-bye.